matches go.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego Unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Virgil Hunter shares his thoughts on the upcoming heavyweight fight, Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz, Part 2, December 7th, Saudi Arabia. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, the channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Before I get started, ESPN Plus, the link is in the description of all of my videos. If you want to sign up to ESPN Plus, I'm an affiliate with Disney, ESPN, and it helps the channel, you know. It's beneficial to the channel growth. Lomachenko's fighting this week against Luke Campbell, 2 gold medalists. They have UFC, they have 30 for 30s, things like that. Link below, sign up, and you'll be able to get it cracking. Now, we unpack, coming to you live. Make sure you smash the like button. The fight that had its moments, you know, in the first fight, and also a tumultuous negotiating period that we've just gotten past, and that's Andy Ruiz Jr. trying to two-peat and beat Joshua again. Joshua, he now has his antennas up. He realizes that, okay, Ruiz is coming to scrap. Ruiz put me down 4 times, and I was hurt in the fight, never recovered. He has his own theories on what happened. Joshua, in my opinion, has said some pretty ludicrous things, saying that, well, yeah, Andy Ruiz, the gods gave him the power, and, you know, something. He was a lucky punch, and he's not that skillful. He's just, you know, a solid, good fighter. Now, Virgil Hunter did an interview, link in the description, and he details his theories and thoughts on the rematch. I always like Virgil Hunter, you know, not just because I'm from the Bay Area, but I like his breakdowns because he's not an over, like you can tell he reads, he speaks eloquent, and he has clever breakdowns, you know, whether you agree with him or not. He knows how to share his thoughts, and it never seems like he, you know, he's not like one of the overly, like, kind of emotional coaches that kind of tend to say things that are over the top, you know. No disrespect, these guys are great coaches, but like Freddie Roach and Abel Sanchez as well, you know, sometimes it looks like what they say is just like, huh, you know, like the emotions kind of made you lean towards saying that. We never really, I don't see it personally with Virgil Hunter. He seems pretty neutral, like, especially if it's not his fighter, you know, he just gives you his honest thoughts, and it's kind of cerebral, and I just like it. So it's a lot to go over, and then we're gonna unpack it. This is text pull quotes from the interview with Fight Hype, link in the description, and this is what he said. He kind of broke down where Joshua went wrong and everything, and we're gonna unpack this together. If you like what I'm doing here, smash the like button. Virgil Hunter says, there's so many questions and answers to that fight. Joshua was this, Joshua was that. It seems to be a stylistic matchup nightmare for AJ, a style matchup that he didn't anticipate, and he might have let his thoughts on Andy Ruiz's ability weigh in just a little bit, and when he got caught in the wrong spot that he couldn't recover from it and from the damage from it. You can only take his word for it. I think it's kind of simple for Joshua. He's got to fight at range and at a distance to minimize those effective attacks. Those mid-range attacks that Andy Ruiz was able to bring into that fight, he can't get overexcited. He's got to be prepared to fight a round after round, fight staying steady, staying consistent. He has to make sure that all the things that let him down in the first fight are in fact intact. Number one, his stamina. And this is more so, more or less what I've said too. Number two, his movement. Number three is not taking his eyes off the punches and getting hit with punches. he doesn't see. If you look at this fight, the first fight he's referring to, he got hit with a lot of shots that he did not see. So there is a defensive correction that he needs there. He needs to fight tall, not short. And this is important. I agree with that to a certain extent. I don't agree with him fighting tall, and I agree with him fighting long. So there's a difference between fighting long and fighting short. He doesn't have to stoop down. He has to stretch out. So that adds another foot to Ruiz being able to get to him. If he knows how to use that lead hand to stop him from coming in, he could control the whole situation with his lead hand and use his follow-up punches at the right time. Now he's breaking it down. But the lead is the whole key, his legs and his lead hand. I would suggest that he is shadowboxing every day, 6 to 8 rounds every single day. Move and move until his legs are programmed and he's using the whole ring. He has to set a footwork pace on Ruiz. He let Ruiz take the steps that he was comfortable with, so he would need to set up a footwork pace that would benefit him in this fight to make Ruiz step quicker, move quicker, and work harder to get in range, and testing his conditioning. All those things I believe will play a factor in the fight. Now, he also talks about, kind of just industry rumors and people's speculation if Ruiz is in fact training his hardest, or is the fame almost getting to Ruiz where he's just living it up, like the Ja Rule said, "Oh, my lady, I be living it up." He made all this money, Jimmy Kimmel and stuff like that. Is he letting that get to his head? And that's what a lot of people have brought up. So this is Virgil Hunter's take on that in the following paragraphs. His corner deserves to have Andy Ruiz in camp to have him prepared. I heard he's not in camp. Fighters need to realize that trainers sacrifice a lot. So if you're going to go into a big fight, you should give your trainer all the respect that is due. Part of that is that they want you in the camp at a reasonable time, then you should be in camp. If your opponent is training, you should be in there showing that corner, hey, we've got someone who believes in us. We got somebody that respects in the work we're putting in. We got somebody that has a good plan, and not say that I'm going to be there on Monday and then I'm working on the treadmill, taking the easy way out and being lazy about it. He's cheating the public out of a good fight. I'm not in a position to say who wins, but I'm just thinking about the trainer, and I'm not talking about the fighter. I'm thinking about the trainer, because that's what we go through. Not too many fighters will give you 100% commitment. Very few fighters will give you that workload. You need to be on top, and then you have to go with it, and you'll get the blame as soon as that there is a loss. And somebody has to be there to tell Andy Ruiz, look, all you could do, all this could be snatched away from you. All this love you're getting here, all the love you're getting there, it could be snatched away from one loss. He said, especially if there's a knockout loss, then you'll need to recover. All because you couldn't handle the fame. All because you, the people in your corner, you didn't take them under consideration and realize this is just as much for their career as it is for yours. Their reputation also on the line. I can't tell you how many times your reputation is on the line because of the fighter is neglecting. The fighter is not committing, his non-committing attitude or the work habits and things like that. The corner gets the blame. And the fighter didn't treat the people who are training him. The fighter did not consider them the way he should have considered them. So it sounds like Virgil Hunter has some real life concerns, or, obviously he's probably heard something, which we'll get more into that. So I would just consider him to have respect for your corner, have the respect for the work they put in, and get in the gym and help them get into the Hall of Fame. Help them get a reputation to continue to make a living long after you quit fighting. Their reputation that you helped them build a program that other fighters will be attracted to. Virgil's, he's really taking the stance of the trainers. And this is good to hear, a trainer's perspective about how the trainers, their role in this. So he's kind of unpacking it. Okay. Bay Area shit. He says, and come let you set a standard for them by saying, hey, I gave them 110%. And that trainer is able to tell another fighter, Andy Ruiz gave us 110%. This is what we expect of you. And if you do what he does, you'll be a winner. You may not be a champion, but you will be a winner. So I'd like to see Andy Ruiz get in camp, make sure his fight turns out to be where he just let it go from his hand. He can't get himself up and can't get himself to look at the other side of the picture. How his trainers and how his corner feel about him not being there with the pressure he puts on them because they also have dreams. You hear stuff, and even his own corner says he was supposed to be in this particular day, but he didn't show. That he was at home working on a treadmill. Come on. If I'm at home working on a treadmill, because when you make that kind of money, you get lazy, man. It's easy to get lazy. He's blessed himself. He's deserving, or he deserves a nice car. He deserves a nice house. He did great things for his mother. But do you want it to stop right there? You just want to stop right there, or do you want to take it to another level? You're talking like you want to take it to another level. Well, walk the walk, walk the talk. So I would like to see the commitment come, seeing on the behalf of the trainers. I'm not going against Andy Ruiz. He's a hell of a fighter, looking for a great fight. But being from the trainer's maternity, I know it's very hard, very difficult, particularly when you can't get these fighters to commit to what you need them to commit to, end quote. So that was a pretty deep, detailed breakdown from Virgil Hunter. Again, the link is in the description. And now it's my turn to unpack. It's apparent based on Virgil Hunter, what he's saying, he's heard something, industry, out of whether it's true or not, he's definitely heard something, because he's saying he was supposed to be in the gym on Monday and then he didn't show and he's working at home for the treadmill. That sounds too personal to not have heard something. The other thing is, boxing, trust me on this one. I've been in several boxing gyms. I got fighters' phone numbers in the cell phone contact. Boxing is a very niche, even the fans. I see a lot of the same fans at different fights. Like, I know people that are in California, live there, but then I see them at the Barclays, Madison Square Garden, Nassau Coliseum in New York. So they're just fans traveling, taking the day off work, or, away from their families or whatever they got to do, and going. Same thing from New York. I know a lot of my people from New York, they came out for Wilder versus Tyson Fury at the Staples Center, things like that. So boxing is a small fraternity. It's a small community. So it sounds like, if I had to take an educated guess, it sounds like he's heard something. Virgil Hunter has heard something about Andy Ruiz. Plus, everyone's judging from what we see on social media, And Virgil Hunter, he's a trainer out here in the Bay Area up north, where I'm at, and Ruiz trains in California as well, in Southern California. So there's a lot of people that are speculating this. So that's my thoughts. I think Virgil Hunter has heard something. People see the chains and, going out, eating good, Jimmy Kimmel, and they just want Andy Ruiz to do his family proud, and also his trainer. So it's very good to hear Virgil Hunter from the perspective of a trainer talking about what trainers go through. And he was kicking a lot of facts. He was kicking a lot of facts because people sleep on that. You look at someone who takes a loss and then the trainer gets blamed. You look at like Amir Khan. I don't know what his relationship is with Virgil Hunter right now, because I don't think Virgil Hunter trained him for the Billy Dib fight. I think he had Alex Ariza. I don't really know what he did. But after he lost to Terrence Crawford, people are like kind of looking like, what happened? So you never really know when it comes to a loss. I do feel like the trainers sometimes unjustly get thrown under the bus. Like, even situations where there's a lot of situations where, like Dominic Brazil went over to Virgil Hunter for one fight, and it happened to be against the biggest puncher in fucking boxing. Oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated, Eddie Hearns. To this day. So that's kind of unfair for Virgil Hunter. You have Dominic Brazil, and then he get knocked the fuck out in the first round, and what could Virgil Hunter have told him or taught him in 6 to 8 weeks that could have prevented that? Wilder's just hitting too hard, and Virgil doesn't have enough time to, infuse his style completely in someone in their first fight. When he got Berto or whoever, I'm sure it takes a while for you to, develop a chemistry. You even look at any sport, like, LeBron James and the Lakers. They didn't go all the way. He has to develop a chemistry. You got to get your role players, and LeBron's clearly one of the greatest players ever and one of the best people in the league. But you gotta develop that chemistry. That takes time. That Kobe and Shaq, even though they didn't get along with each other, I seen them recently saying some stuff Kobe said he would have had 12 rings or something, and they were kind of going back and forth. They still had a chemistry, you know, even though they didn't like each other or whatever. So I agree with Virgil Hunter there. I think a lot of people blame trainers and shit, and the trainers can't prevent you from getting hit by Wilder if you're not, you know, fighting the right fight. Now, that being said, I don't know what Virgil Hunter has heard. I can only go off of, I haven't heard anything, you know, exclusive, but I have heard the qualms and the complaints from fans and the worries from fans and people like Virgil Hunter, where they're saying, hey man, are you training for this fight? Because you got to look at it. Despite, I think Joshua has acted mentally kind of out of sorts since the loss. He's saying a lot of crazy stuff, but you have to understand he's coming focused. He's coming, he's trying to flex his weight. He's trying to figure out some way to get it done, whether he could do it or he can't. You know, he's coming with that intent because there's a lot riding on this, you know, and he has a chance to correct something that it sounds like he underestimated, you know, and we're going to prove if it's revenge and repeat, or if it was a fluke, you know. So I think Virgil Hunter's advice, it makes sense, especially if he has heard something. The other thing I will say, you know, kind of playing both sides of the fence, because this is how I feel. Smash the like button. I do feel Andy Ruiz, people, again, I can't tell you what another person heard, but I feel like there's a lot of people who have, even before Virgil Hunter, who have said this stuff. Like, oh yeah, it's Andy Ruiz. He's lost his hunger and shit, and, you know, using boxing quotables like Marvin Hagler. Oh, it's hard to wake up at 6 a.m. and run 8 miles in silk pajamas and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what people have heard or what people are seeing. I have seen the same thing, you know, jewelry and, you know, going to Jimmy Kimmel, bought his mama a crib and doing these radio shows and meeting with the president of Mexico, you know, all this shit. You know, he had an elaborate 30th birthday party with a sushi lady naked, not Jin sushi. Don't be trying to spread that and shit. But I gotta say, you know, I gotta take Andy Ruiz's side in this aspect of it. He just said history. He's a wanted man. You know what I'm saying? That we have never seen a Mexican heavyweight, Mexican American heavyweight. You know, a lot of people mistakenly think John Ruiz. So just for my youngins and, you know, people who might have started boxing late, the one that Roy Jones fought and beat, the one that fought James Toney. A lot of people, because his name, you know, it's a Latino name, Hispanic name. A lot of people mistakenly believe like, oh, but what about John Ruiz? Wasn't he the first Mexican? He's not Mexican. He's Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, I've heard people say like, hey, I didn't think Andy Ruiz was the first guy. It was, they got the same fucking last name, John Ruiz. But the difference is John Ruiz was Puerto Rican. So, you know, I see pictures like this, but I got to cut my man Andy Ruiz slack for 2 reasons. One, he didn't even have a fight actually signed. You know what I'm saying? So I'm personally not as concerned because there was a lot of back and forth. Eddie Hearns was trying to hold him to $9 million despite blowing up overnight and the fame he's getting and the attention, you know, based on some contract clause that he initially signed up for, knowing it's not fair and he wasn't gonna be okay with it, especially getting all this money from the Saudis and you know, a huge site fee and stuff. You knew that was gonna create turmoil, but you know, Eddie Hearn trying to be greedy in rematch room, trying to be greedy, they're trying to hold him to it. That's just what it is. So for one, there was a lot of that. So I understand Virgil Hunter, what he's saying makes sense. You say you're gonna be there Monday, you got to be there Monday, but I'm personally not quite as worried given the fact that it's December 7th. You got to understand, Andy Ruiz took this first fight on a quick turnaround. He had just fought the guy that Brian Jennings fought and beat, Dimitrenko, or whatever his name is. And then he had a quick ass turnaround, got the call. You know, they're like, oh, they tried to get Luis Ortiz. That didn't work. Gerald Miller failed a drug test. You good? You in? And he took that. So I think Andy Ruiz, he deserves some slack because who the fuck, he just like, first of all, one, I told you we unpacking this. One, he took the first fight with only 5 weeks training camp You know, I don't even know what they were able to string together. And he shook up the world, ended up winning the ESPY for his performance. So I can't really bag him for that. You know, he did what he did, 4 knockdowns and a TKO later off of a 5-week training camp. So I'm not really as much worried for him. You know, I don't know, mentally, maybe he is fucking off money and shit. I don't know. But I'm just saying, me personally, I'm not as worried because look at what he did with 5 weeks. Now, he can't go in there like too cocky because, like I said, Joshua's coming to bring it. So I don't think he should be able to go in. I don't think he should go in there and like sleep on Joshua like, oh, it's going to be easy work. I don't think that. But I think there's plenty of time for December 7th where he can have a full fit camp. But I do understand what Virgil Hunter is saying, and I agree with it. If you say you're going to be somewhere and make your coach look good and show up instead of your coach maybe doing interviews and saying, oh, yeah, Andy's going to be back in the gym on Monday, and then they catch him at a top rank card or some shit and say, hey, man, where's Andy Ruiz? And then he ain't there, you know, so he got to be a man of his word in that. But Andy Ruiz, I'm not as worried about it because, like I said, Joshua's sounding crazy with what he's saying, and Ruiz did this with 5 weeks. He only had 5 weeks to train, and he did what he did. So he has off rip, and again, he can't get cocky off that. He can't get cocky like, oh man, I did all that in 5 weeks, so you know I'm not tripping, because again, Joshua can't underestimate him now, or I mean, it'd be stupid to underestimate him. So he has to anticipate the best Joshua, you know, Joshua that knows what he's getting into. So, you know, it's that fine line. But Ruiz did what he did with 5 weeks training camp. So I think the time frame that if this fight was like when Errol Spence is fighting Sean Porter, then I'd be worried because that's a month away. But he's fighting in December. So I'm not as worried because I've seen what he did with 5 weeks training camp. But again, I don't think he should be, you know, just stay to your priorities and to your word. If you say you're going to be in the gym, start getting in, start losing weight, try to get like Virgil was saying, everything Virgil said is correct. You know, you just bought your mama a crib. You know, you could buy her a car, a crib, you know, give her some savings, put your kids through college. You can do a whole lot. If Andy Ruiz wins this fight, bro, he's guaranteed almost a Wilder fight, an undisputed. So that's you extending another olive branch. You could really change your family's life for sure. So I agree with what Virgil Hunter's saying in that regard. Is like, do you want to stop here? You know, you have an opportunity to do something greater than this, because once you beat him again, if you beat him again, man, you got to win that. You know, you got to win that, because no one can even remotely try to rewrite your history. Right now, they can't really do it. The history's already set. But what I mean is, Joshua really wasn't supposed to be fighting you. He was supposed to be fighting Gerald Miller. And sometimes in boxing, especially, these certain chain of events happen, and you know, the outcome is what it is. Lennox Lewis versus Hasim Rahman. Same thing happened. Rahman was hungry, was focused, had power, and wasn't heralded like that. Had tough fights with like Evander Holyfield. I don't remember if it was before Lennox Lewis or whatever, but he wasn't expected to do that to Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis was an established, you know, champion. But Lennox Lewis was filming with Klitschko Ocean's 11, the movie. They had a scene in the movie, and he was filming. They said he got to South Africa. I think it was South Africa as opposed to Africa. I think the fight took place in South Africa. They said Lennox Lewis got to Africa late, didn't really acclimate. He was filming a movie, you know, living the Hollywood life. He was a A-list boxer, you know, and then he got slept in the first fight, and then he had to come back correct. You know, Buster Douglas, same thing. Mike was on top of the world. Everybody loved him in Japan and in the Asian market and stuff. He had a Nintendo game. You guys got to understand that. I'm ecstatic. I'm so happy. I'm happy to be here. I got my game and Nintendo Punch Out. You know, I got Punch Out with Soda Popinski. You know, Glass Joe. He's like the first. He's the first character when you turn on the game. You know, Mike was the man, especially in, like I said, in Asia, because they had the Nintendo game. So everybody knew Mike Tyson. On top of his, you know, he was, you know, combat sports are big in Japan and stuff, and Mike was a knockout artist, so everybody loved that. So nobody expected the Buster Douglas. So some people, I can understand, people are like, oh hey man, He's not going to be sleeping on you this time. You better get back in the camp. So this is one of the situations where I kind of understand all angles. But the other thing I will say is this. You're the first Mexican heritage fighter of Mexican heritage to win a heavyweight title, let alone several in that fashion. This wasn't a decision, things like that. The president of Mexico wants to meet you. What are you supposed to do? You know, so I can't really say nothing against that. What is he supposed to do? Oh no, tell the president I'll call him back later. You know, this ain't Donald Trump. You actually want to meet the president of Mexico. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about Trump, you know, because some of the sports teams win. You know, we'll just leave that like that. But, you know, some of the sports teams have won trophies and championships, and they like, nah, we ain't warriors and shit. We ain't going to the White House to see Trump. But this is the president of Mexico. Like, so I can't fault Andy Ruiz for that. What was he supposed to tell the president? Man, I tell him I'll get back to him. I got to eat this golden corral. Like, what are you supposed to do? You know, Jimmy Kimmel sending a stretch G-Wagon and giving you exposure. What are you supposed to say? No, sorry, Jimmy. I got training to do. I got to rematch this motherfucker in December. Ain't nobody gonna do that. So I think people are being a bit unreasonable, because I started hearing this immediately when he was doing stuff like this. People was talking about it. So I don't know everything that's going on. I don't know what people are saying, but I started hearing like, oh, he went Hollywood and shit. They were saying it like around this time. This is like days at this. Look, he was on June 5th. The fight was June 1st at nighttime. So basically June 2nd. You know what I'm saying? And people were already saying that Ruiz was sleeping. So me, I'm not really worried about it. To be honest, I'm not really worried about it. I mean, I would hope Andy Ruiz is, you know, not being foolish and blowing through money and thinking this will be forever and he's going to just get this treatment no matter what happens. He has to know the implications. If he wants to, like Virgil Hunter is saying, extend this, then he has to win. He has to go out there and win in some fashion, you know? So I think Andy Ruiz is a smart guy, low-key guy, and he got to do this again, you know? You got to do it for La Raza, you know? Shout out to Andy, pinche Andy. You got to do it for La Raza, you know? Hey, carnal. So that's just what it is. So I personally, I'm not as aggressive as I've seen some other people be towards Andy Ruiz regarding, oh, he's went Hollywood, he's selling out for the fame and stuff like that. He had a 30th birthday, and this is probably definitely his best financial year. So I mean, can I get mad that he's taking his family to Disneyland, meeting the president of Mexico, and signing autographs and on TMZ? These are the things, buying jewelry, buying his mama a crib. You know, that buying his mama a crib, that's not really being selfish. That's being selfless. Like, you don't have to buy your parents a crib, but obviously he wanted to repay her. And I think ultimately people aren't taking in consideration that this is probably just super rewarding for him. It was super rewarding. He wasn't even supposed to be here, and boom, overnight his whole world's changed. So I agree in the sense of, if there is something I don't know about, he can't let this get to his head, you know, because Joshua's coming and gonna try to take back the respect and shit that he lost, and people are saying he quit. So Joshua's already trained and he stays in shape and all that. But I can't find it in myself, in my rational mind, to come down on Andy Ruiz. And the other thing I really don't think people are taking into consideration is he took this fight with 5 weeks notice. In addition to that, he came off of a very quick turnaround. So to me, to prevent overtraining, this is actually probably beneficial that he's partying and living it up a little bit, because it's just like cheat meals. If you're too strict, like, let's say you were overweight and you're trying to get in shape, and then you're too hard on yourself and too strict, and all your meals are bland, no seasoning, boring, no cheat meals, and you're eating like a rabbit, you know, then sometimes people end up binge eating and shit and just going crazy one particular day because they can't can't take it. So to me, I'm looking at what Andy Ruiz, I told you this is Unpacked, bro. This is the realest on the tube. I'm looking at what Andy Ruiz is doing as this motherfucker's from the mud. He's from the hood. He's not experienced like this to this level. And he's coming off of a 5-week must get it done training camp. He proved something to himself. And before that, he had just fought on the Danny Garcia, Adrian Granados card. So he had back-to-back fights. So to me, I'm looking like what Ruiz is doing, you know, the pictures and the 30th birthday, meeting the president, Jimmy Kim. I'm looking at this as kind of like a cheat meal. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if he was in the gym, you know, super focused and sweating and stuff, you might mentally exhaust yourself. I really feel boxing is like highly mental, 95% or better mental. You know, physical, Floyd Mayweather is not stronger than everybody he beat. Mentally, he's stronger, you know? So I think this is just like I said, like a cheat meal for Andy Ruiz, a proverbial cheat meal. So if he was back in the gym doing this and too dedicated to, he might be in over his head and end up scrambling his brain and mentally burning out before December 7th. Because that's some time away. So I like that he's going to Pacquiao Thurman and just checking out the fights and the fans are embracing him. So I don't really personally see anything wrong. Now, if he's like doing coke or something, you know, something like that came out, that's something different. If he's partying like crazy and you know, gain hella weight or something, you know, something like that. But you know, this is normal. I think he's happy. You know, he's happy. He proved something to himself and he's having his cheat meal. So that's my 2 cents on it. We Unpack coming to you live, but I'm looking forward to this fight. Very good fight. We got to see. I can't wait to see how it all plays out. I just hope it's no bullshit because it's happening in Saudi Arabia. They got drug testing starting in September. I hope there's no politics, premature stoppage, bad scorecard. I just hope it's nothing like that. You know, nobody gets injured on the way in, you know, just everyone keep your fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to this. Boxing needs big heavyweight fights to move the needle. It's been a while since the heavyweight division has been this alive and lit. You got new faces emerging. You got Wilder, who's blowing up. You know, Joshua is now motivated. Andy Ruiz came out of nowhere. So I'm liking where we're at. I think a lot of people are being a teeny bit hard unless they know something that I don't know. But I go to Andy Ruiz's page. I'm sure I see the same shit. You know, see, look, this is the fight. You know, I can't play it for copyright. He just fought. Look, 18 weeks ago. Thank you for all your support at the Dignity Health Center. He was on that Danny Garcia card and he got a stoppage. The guy retired on the stool. So 18 weeks ago. And then let's fast forward so I can give you guys an idea when he fought Joshua. 18 weeks ago. And then, so it just gives the date. And then he fought June 1st. So whatever that, however many weeks ago that is. Because this is fight week. Yeah, see, look, by May 31st, he's already in the fight week for Joshua. So he had a quick turnaround. I'm telling you, like this, you know, so he's in fight week for Joshua the last week of May. Watch, I'll pull up the dates now. See, this is the benefit of Unpack. I can go as long as I want and, you know, get it cracking. I'm all about the information and I want it to be precise. So, suspended. Damn, that concussion got him. It said he's suspended. All right. Andy Ruiz, y'all. So he fought Joshua June 1st, as I mentioned, and he fought Alexander Dimitrenko 420. So shout out to the smokers. I don't smoke, but I know a lot of y'all be smoking watching my shit. So he fought on 420 on that Danny Garcia Granados card, and he's already fighting by June 1st. You know, he's in fight May, the last week of May, he was in fight week. That's a quick ass turnaround. See, that's what I'm saying. Listen, I knew this stuff on the top of my head, but I didn't do any pre-research before I started, hit the record button and did a video. I'm sold on my belief that people are being a bit too hard. Like he fought 420, and by basically 528 or so, he's already in fight week for Joshua. So, and you know, he had to train somewhat before that. So he went boom, boom. And then now that he's enjoying life a little bit, people are like, oh, he went Hollywood. He's 29, bro. He's 29. Y'all got to cut him some slack. I don't think he's that foolish. You know, you guys got to give him some credit. And then, like I said, he's never experienced this before. So if this wasn't the case, like if he only fought Joshua maybe, but he just fought back to back, he didn't have no time. So this is a huge burden released off his chest that he got 2 wins, 2 victories, just like that, basically in back-to-back months, you know. So yeah, man, we Unpacked coming to you live. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you like what I'm doing, consider subscribing to the channel. The latest and greatest, the realest, all that. Hit the like button, smash it, share it, all the good stuff. We Unpacked coming to you live. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.